110 of the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs. We're meeting today for the first time in regards to the incident that took place in the gallery in the House of Commons. And I would like to welcome our guests who are here with us. I also want to note that it is March 21st, 2024, which is World Down Syndrome Day, a day that was created to raise public awareness, promote inclusivity, encourage advocacy, and to support the well-being of those living with Down syndrome. I'm usually in my riding on this day, but today I was not. So Caleb and I shared a pair of socks with each of you, and we hope you rock your socks. With that, we'd like to welcome Ihor Michalchyshyn, from the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, as well as Yars Balin, Director, Cool Ukrainian Canadian Studies Center with the Canadian Institute of Ukrainian Studies. I believe that there was opening comments from one of you, and you'll both be available for comments. So with that, I welcome you both to PROC. I thank you for taking the time to be here, and the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you. We were just having some audio issues, but I hope you can hear me now. So I'll read the opening statement, and then we're available for questions. So on behalf of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, it's a pleasure to be here today virtually to speak with you. I'll just read our opening statement on this matter at this point. So for many centuries, all of the inhabitants who lived on the territory of what is today Ukraine, including the Jewish people, suffered successive occupations by foreign empires and colonizers who sought to subjugate those for whom Ukraine was home. Some 30 years ago, with the declaration of Ukrainian independence and statehood, the difficult process of reaching mutual understanding and comity began and continues to this day. The history of World War II in Ukraine is complex and difficult to easily summarize. Ukraine was caught between the two tyrannies of Hitler and Stalin. In the 20th century, Ukraine was the center of what Yale historian Timothy Snyder has called the Bloodlands. The Ukrainian people fought for their independence in World War I, in World War II, and are now fighting for the freedom of Europe. Without their own state, Ukrainians fought in different military formations, always in pursuit of a free and independent Ukraine and against Soviet Bolshevik Russian tyranny. Following the incident in Canada's Parliament this fall, our community was once again subjected to a familiar disinformation narrative, smearing Ukrainians, which originates with the Soviet Union and is now being used by the Russian Federation. It is unfortunate and hurtful that many ill-informed politicians and members of the media chose to engage with the simplistic and inaccurate narratives instead of relying on the findings of a Canadian Commission of Inquiry. As one of Canada's preeminent scholars of Ukrainian history, Dr. Paul Robert Michalchyshyn, Chair of Ukrainian Studies at the University of Toronto, stated, "There is simply no proof that the Galicia Division engaged in war crimes. The characterization of former members of the Galicia Division as Nazis, fascists, war criminals, or monsters is inflammatory and unsupported by historical record." In the 1980s, the Government of Canada called the Commission the Deschênes Commission to investigate claims that thousands of Nazi war criminals were hiding in Canada. The Commission found that between 1971 and 1986, public statements from outside interveners concerning alleged war criminals were spread increasingly and exaggerated as to their estimated number. The Commission also found that charges of war crimes against members of the Galicia Division were not to be substantiated, neither in 1950 when they were first referenced, nor in 1984 or before the Commission. It is the long-standing position of our community that if there is evidence of any wrongdoing by an individual, regardless of who they are or when they committed a crime, this evidence should be brought to the attention of Canada's War Crimes Unit to be pursued in that forum and not in the court of public opinion. As Dr. Michalchyshyn stated, it's not in the interest of Canada for politicians and the media to distort historical pasts and besmirch the reputations of individuals in order to gain ostensible advantage in the Canadian political arena. The disinformation narrative smearing Ukrainians originates from the Soviet days and is now being used by the Russian Federation in an attempt to discredit an independent Ukrainian democracy. This is an effort to sow division within Canada and other Western democracies. It is an attempt by Russia to distract from the war of annihilation against Ukraine that it wages. which this parliament has correctly, unanimously recognized as a genocide against the Ukrainian people. Every day, including last night, Ukrainian cities are being bombed by Russian missiles. Every day, Russia is murdering Ukrainian civilians, abducting Ukrainian children, and committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. It is the defense of Ukraine and ensuring Ukraine's victory over Russia with which the UCC and our community are seized at this time. We invite all members of this committee, all parliamentarians, and the Government of Canada to join us in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now enter into